Anong kwentong hipon mo?
Okay, first of all, a healthy and good afternoon to all. I would like to greet everyone. Kamusta from Bacolod? My topic, because I love Abby so much, I said yes to be a speaker, Abby. So I was given a responsibility to explain between earthen and liner ponds. First of all, I'm GJ Sarrosa. We started the aquaculture business. In fact, we were one of the pioneers. We started 1983, 84. We used to have 2 farms here in Negros. We were the ones who started the Negros Prawn with my dad and his group. We started the Negros Prawn Producers Co-op. And from those 2 farms, I decided to retain the other one, so that this farm that I will be reporting has been in operation since 1984 up to now, and we have been expanding, consolidating, improving the pond design, the protocols of this particular farm. My topic again is about the difference between earthen and liner ponds. No, our farm started with earthen ponds. We have the God-given gift that our pond bottoms are all may pagka-lime, so it's not acidic. In fact, we still continue growing Vaname. By the way, we shifted from monodon to Vaname nearly more than 10 years ago. So we still use our earthen ponds up to now. But for the past nearly 3 years, I have decided to slowly redevelop our ponds and install PE liners. But first of all, now what is very important is that this liner ponds is most efficient in small ponds, because in our farm we have 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Our phase 1 is basically the old design, which we still have ponds na tag 1 hectare, 0.8, 0.9. In fact, if not for the COVID calamity, we were supposed to redevelop phase 1 and make it into smaller ponds. So basically, our phase 2 and phase 3 area are slowly being converted into liner ponds. And shows a picture of, yeah, okay. This is our typical earthen ponds. Well, as you can see, we have very good pond bottoms. May pagka limestone. On the right, well, you can see it's a typical it's after harvest. Those hoses are the usual diffusers. That is the ongoing technology now. With our earthen ponds, the pros and cons of earthen ponds. basically there's more disadvantages between earthen and liner ponds. For one, there's less biosecurity kung earthen ponds because you have contact with the soil. Number two, because of earthen ponds, you have technically a lower stocking density. And as per our experience, we harvest on earthen ponds between 1 to 1.5 times per year, which is translates to around 10 to 15 tons per harvest. Before we could do more, but I take a long-term approach because one of the reasons why we have so far survived the shrimp industry since the 1984 is at the end of the day, it's all about sustainability. It's about respecting the environment. It's about not pushing your farm, your management. It's all about sustainability. We take a long-term approach. So sometimes we would have ponds na I will just say, oh, maski one harvest na lang a year. For earthen ponds, no? So regarding liner ponds, slowly, next slide, please. This is an example of our earthen ponds. As you can see, the dikes are all cemented. Okay, and then as you can see, kung earthen ponds, when you do a partial harvest, so when the people go down inside the pond, naturally they walk and they disturb the soil. So there's more risk in the biosecurity and the stress of the shrimps, especially during thin out, during partial harvest. Okay, now we go to liner ponds. So this is an example of our liner ponds. We would usually order one container. It would come out cheaper, one 20-footer container worth around 17 rolls. Or the 17 rolls would transcend to around 6 to 7 half-hectare ponds. On the right side of the screen, because we have our own people, we train their own people to install, maintain, and fix our liners. We used to subcon a couple of months before with a service provider for the installation, but it would be much better especially if you have a big area, that you should have your own trained people, you should have your own machines to install and to repair. So as you can see on the right side screen, we have our typical toilet in the middle. I think everybody knows that in shrimp culture, we have our toilet ponds. We have our spider drainage, because even if our ponds are high, we put drainage around the pond and in the middle of the ponds. para to, if there would be a leak, we just pump it through that orange pipe. So this is an example of our liner ponds. We also use the liner ponds for crab netting. I'm also thinking, in fact, of lining our irrigation dikes, because one of our concerns is palaging daming weeds. So to biosecure yung mga weed control. Next slide. So there. In fact, in our next, in some of our ponds, we really put PE all the way to the supply canal. Okay, what are the advantages of a liner? Number 2, definitely it is more biosecure. You have less, or not less, you have no contact with the soil. It's easier to maintain good quality water management, feed management. You know, the reason why 3 years ago I decided to, because at first I was not that well 100% believe sa liner 3.5 years ago. But during our expansion, one of our ponds, my leakage, I was forced to accelerate our timeline to install PE lines. And then after that, we tried we stocked it, and yes, it's the results and the management between liner and earthen ponds are liner ponds are much easier. Of course, no, putting liner is not the solution. You still need to have very good feed management, water management, people management, especially people management. So putting liners is not a cure-all. It's just one puzzle, one important piece of the puzzle in shrimp culture, vermiculture. Another example is we have better water and feed management. And most important is the frequency of harvest. This is just on a conservative figures, no? Kasi yung iba, they would say 3 times a year harvest. Kami naman, we spread our stocking and we spread our harvest. But every month we have stocking, every month we have harvest. So from earthen dikes of 1 to 1.5 times harvest per year, or 10 tons to 15 tons per hectare per harvest. Now with liners, you can do 2.5 to 3 times harvest per year, or 20 to 30 tons. In fact, per harvest. In fact, this 30 tons, you can do 35 to 40 tons. But again, what is important is the sustainability of the aquaculture business. Because from experience, 1980s, 1990s, one of the reasons why the aquaculture industry collapsed was partly because of greed. People would say, oh, you will do this, how many tons per hectare? I'll increase it. So in effect, we destroyed our environment. So our target is just between 20 to 30 tons per harvest. Another advantage of liners is, of course, it controls seepage. In our reservoirs, in some of the farms, they put liners in their reservoirs. You also have better waste management because if you notice kanina with the toilet, it's not only the muck that goes in the middle, but also the soil at the end of the harvest. So if you have a very good toilet system, center drain system, center pump system, you monitor well your toilet pumping protocol every day. Practically after you harvest, there should be no muck in the middle of your toilet with liner ponds. Yung maiiwan na lang dyan are just the liquid form. Do you have another picture? Yeah, that's another picture of our liner ponds. So to date, we have been continuing our installation. We were just delayed because of the rains. It's practically La Nina in Negros. But thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. We have been spared from all the typhoons. And for our Luzon brothers, we continue to pray and hope for the recovery. But in Negros, we've been blessed na walang typhoon. So next year, we will continue to line, eventually line all of our 25-hectare watered area farm. But also, no, another thing, I'm also looking at the overall picture of the world economy and the Philippine economy. The easiest thing to do is just line your pond, order the liners and install it. But my concern now is the market and the situation of the shrimp industry in the Philippines. Because basically right now, there is no export market. The few ones that would call me, their price are very low, and we're all just depending in the local market. For the feeds, we've been using CP feeds and CP probiotics together with the probiotics from Biosolution. Yeah, basically that's it. If you have any questions, we're open to questions.
Thank you, Sir GJ. Ma'am Abby, any comments for GJ's presentation? Sir, the same questions kay Sir Norbert kanina. Why shrimp?
What do you mean why shrimp?
Nga sa shrimp isa sa mga business niyo ang shrimp.
Oh, it's been our business since 1983. So it's a very good business.
And when we look at our production from PSA data, peak niya talaga yung mga 1980s. How do you survive yung mga ups and downs, yung mga diseases?
Oh,
And how you manage to have to be in the business until now?
I have experienced a lot of ups and downs with the sugar industry since 1983-84, no? With the diseases, with Dominus Bach, with everything. The important thing is we should be resilient, we should have grit, we should not be complacent, we should continue to work with our partners in the shrimp feed industry, in the processing industry. I look at it now, we're one chain. When one chain breaks, everybody breaks. No, the farmers, the fry suppliers. When one single chain breaks, like for example, it is to the interest of the feed suppliers that the quality should be good, because if it's not good, the farmers also suffers. At the same time, if the farmers do not make good, the fry suppliers and then the feed suppliers also suffer. So going back to why we were able to survive since all these years, 30, 35 years, is again resiliency, adaptability, keeping an open mind, people management. Very important is people management. Technical support. Thank you for especially we have a very proactive BFAR, and because at one point, no, the aquaculture industry in the Philippines, 1980s, we were contributing yata 400 million, 500 million US dollars, but because of Luminous, it crashed. So yeah, the reality is not all, even if they want to, even if they see the numbers, not all can produce shrimp. Not all do not have the area suited for it. Like basically northern Luzon, which easily gets hit by typhoon, is not suited for shrimps. So yeah, like site selection is also very, very, very important.
We have questions, sir. In terms of convenience, sustainability, production, and cost efficient, which type of pond will you recommend to our first-time shrimp grower and why?
I think the question is because the type of ponds should come later. First of all, is before they, because I have a lot of friends, they wanted to diversify to the aquaculture industry, from the sugar industry. So I would tell them, you know what, you go around first to the existing farms and see for yourself if it's your line of business. It's very easy. Like there are people that they see the numbers, but at the end of the day, it's not their line of business. See, if they see that potential sila, is number two, they talk to the right technical people, and before anything else, before they put a single centavo in building the farm, in developing the farm, very important is to do their due diligence in their site. Like, do they have good water? Wala bang pollution? Is it far from populated areas? It's very, very important. Site selection. Are you in the path of typhoon, etc.? So once you do due diligence, you check, example, your water. Do you have sufficient good quality water? Like I had a good friend. He turned out his water was high in iron, and he spent already in lining his pond. You know, lining a pond is not cheap, huh? It's nearly 800 to 900,000 per half hectare. Labor materials, that includes the spider drainage, that includes, for us, that includes na the roughing at the side na isemento. So once they do the due diligence, then I would recommend that they install P liners.
Sir, thank you. So far, walang question. Pero stay ka pa naman sa amin hanggang Q&A mamaya, sir, di ba?
I have a question.
Oh, yes. Yes, Ma'am Abby.
Hi, GJ. Thank you so much for that very nice presentation. Talagang shrimp it up yung presentation mo. So, question is, did you encounter any diseases in both comparing the lined as well as the earthen ponds? And how were you able to manage these diseases, since diseases is actually one of the biggest issue in shrimp farming?
Okay, good question, Abby, no? Because again, like what I said, line ponds are not the magic pill. So, but at least you minimize the risk. As simple as you have no contact with the soil. So, but even with line ponds, we still had cases na may slight white spot. We have to be careful with EMS, with the usual suspects. We still have to do our risk management, because again, having liner ponds will just reduce your risk, but it does not mean that you will still not get the disease, no? But it plays a very big factor in improving and increasing your production. Oh, at the same time, also weather. Like even if we have line ponds ready, but for example, we look at the weather. Like this year, it's La Nina. So we downshifted our number of ponds to be stocked during the cold season. But 2 years ago, there was an El Nino. So we increased our number of ponds to be stocked during the so-called cold season.
Thank you. Thank you, GJ.
Any more, Ma'am Abby?
I have another question regarding fry quality. How do you choose the right fry? Do you have a standard requirement for choosing the good quality fry?
Okay. For the fry, we get all of our fry from CP in Bacong, Dumaguete. It's been a protocol since before that before we stock, we get 2 samples, pre-checking. 2 pre-checkings before stocking, and on the day of the stocking, we get another sample and send it to the Negros Prawn Co-op. At the same time, CP also checks their fry, no? But well, I want to be sure. I send samples to Negros Prawn.
Okay, thank you. And what about the regular health monitoring during culture? Do you follow a certain period on monitoring do you have a regular monitoring of diseases during culture period?
Okay. Every week we have our own lab, which we test the usual ammonia, nitrite, but for the bacterial, for the virus count, etc., we send water and animal samples every week, every Monday to Negros Prawn. But after 5 grams, we do not send animal samples anymore. We only send if it's on a need basis. But for water samples, we send every week, once a week to Negros Prawn. And our system here is that the results gets to be Viber direct to the farm. So we get instant results from Negros Prawn, courtesy of Roslyn.